This video is a replay of a trade I took today. Now, it probably goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. I am not a financial advisor, and trading entails risk. Just because I got these results today doesn't mean that I can get these every day, nor that you can. Remember, the entire premise of the investing project and the $1 million experiment is that I am not an expert, and yet I am learning how to do this. So for heaven's sake, don't just blindly copy me. Instead, find a mentor, someone who is an expert, and join their community. Pay for their mentorship. This approach has worked very well for me, and it likely will for you too. So use this video partly as education and partly as inspiration. After all, if I can learn this, you can too. So interesting reversal this morning. Looked like if you look over here, you can see that after this huge sell-off on Friday, we had this bounce yesterday, and we started with a bit of a bounce today, but it was running into pretty much the high that it had reached yesterday and ran into some resistance. So you can see it was looking like NQ was taking off again, but over here on the 5-minute, you can see that it's run into some overhead resistance and it had a nice. We had a substantial red bar here, which was also similar on the ES, and it started to follow through and look a bit like it might short, especially if it broke below this low day. And as that was unfolding, I looked for where I might want to take a short, and I didn't like the fact that that in order to take a short on the NQ, I'd have to take a huge amount of risk. It's just way bigger than what I would permit. Similar for the ES, I really only want to take 15 handles of risk, and I would have to take at least 30, probably more. So I didn't want to do either of those. So it came down to the YM or the RTY, and the YM just didn't seem like it was as stretched as the RTY. You can see that in the pre-market, the Russell had been heading up quite a lot, and so it had already passed the high of its average true range. So this is so it's already beyond that. So it's beyond the previous day's high. It's beyond the pre-market high, and it's above the average true range high. So all of those things made me think, all right, you know what? I am going to trade. I put this on the Russell. And so I was maybe a shade late. I could have put it on theoretically just a little bit earlier, but then I didn't really have the indication from the other indexes that this was really turning around. So I think putting it in where I did was about the best I could reasonably hope for. So I'm going to go ahead and play this back, and we can see how this trade unfolded. It took a couple of minutes. I got in at 7:04 Pacific. So there we are. We're in. And I left the stop right where it is, 100 handles of risk. I have 4 contracts. It had to think about it for a minute or two before it decided which way it wanted to go. But then, as you can see from the other indexes, it started to pick up steam. It's not doing it yet, but it will in a second. It starts to pick up steam, and as the other indexes are picking up steam, you can really see it taking off here as well. So I'm going to zoom in on this so we can actually watch it. And in fact, I'll turn my camera off so that we can see it on the 2-minute as well. And as you may recall from other videos, I have it moved to even as soon as it moves 100 points in the right direction, and then I trail the first 2 contracts 100 points behind the low. So that took out the first target at plus 200, and it continued on. And not surprisingly, it went all the way down and was a perfect trade with respect to this bracket. It filled the 200 and the 300 target, and then promptly bounced, which actually was a bit gratifying to see. However, it also then, after that bounce, it later in the morning turned around and made for a much lower leg. So in future, as I add more contracts, I may decide to keep 1 or 2 just in reserve, because it did then turn around and sell off probably this amount and then some. So interesting. Anyways, it was a good trade, $500 on 4 contracts on the micro Russell, the M2K, and I'll take it.